What is going on, Bills Mafia? Happy Victory Monday, as it is one of the best Victory Mondays that you could ask for, as the Buffalo Bills are AFC East champions for a fifth consecutive season, proving all the doubters wrong. They destroyed the San Francisco 49ers in the snow by a final score of 35-10, and the most important thing, they already have the division wrapped up for the fifth consecutive season. The Buffalo Bills are AFC East champs by week 13, which is the fastest that any NFL team has ever clinched their division title since the 2009 Colts, who went on to win the AFC that season before ultimately losing the Super Bowl. But what can you say about this team, as they had so many doubters going into the season? So many people were saying that it was the Dolphins division, it was the Jets division, and let's check in on how that's doing right now. So as you can see, the Bills are 10-2. They already have the division wrapped up. Miami 5-7 after dropping that Thursday night game to Green Bay. The Jets lost a close one to Seattle. They are 3-9, and then the Patriots are already eliminated with a 3-10 record. And growing up during the drought, to see Buffalo with the Z and New England with an E, man, that is pretty special. Now, I really don't have that much to break down and analyze today, just because the Bills are making it look so easy and they are just steamrolling these teams. I mean, going into the season, everyone had these last couple of weeks circled on the calendar, right? You have Kansas City coming into Orchard Park, then you go on the bye week, and then you open back up with San Francisco. And I bet a lot of people were saying, well, if you can at least split, you're doing pretty well, but I don't think you can win both of those games. I know Sean McDermott is 7-0 coming out of the bye, make that 8-0 now, but that was just a very tough stretch. But not only did they beat them by a combined 34 points. The Bills beat the Chiefs by 9 points. Now they beat the 49ers by 25 points last night. And they are really looking like a force to be reckoned with. People are saying that they are a wagon. Everyone is on the train right now. And I think everyone can agree that as of right now, at this very moment, Josh Allen is the NFL MVP. And I think really that's where I want to start and kind of how I want to finish, really, just because I think on a day like today, we need to take a step back and realize and appreciate the greatness that we have here. Because again, growing up through the drought, I waited for days like this, and I will never take for granted being able to watch this man play football, because he is special. And what he did last night with Amari Cooper, that totally exemplifies who Josh Allen is as a quarterback and as a person, and just the heart and the drive that he has to being successful and doing whatever he can to put the team on his back. And it just seems like every week there is an insane new play, highlight, picture, video, whatever, that you can put in the Josh Allen Museum, right? Hanging in the Knox, put it in the gallery, because here we go. Here's Air Allen once again, just doing the unthinkable and taking off from the 5-yard line, diving into the pylon, diving into the end zone. And that was because he threw a short pass to Amari Cooper. And Allen said afterwards, he was like, yeah, I kind of threw it behind him. So then he followed the play. This is like a basketball play. And that's why it's important to have those athletics in your background here. So not only was it a heads up play for Amari Cooper to pitch it back to Allen, it was also a heads up play for Allen to have the awareness to quote unquote follow his shot, right? And go to Amari Cooper so that he could pitch it back to him so that he could run into the end zone. So that is officially scored as a passing touchdown and as a receiving touchdown. Josh went on to have a rushing touchdown. So he had the triple double, and he is the first quarterback to ever have a passing touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown in the same game. So that's what I mean. There's just not that much to analyze. Sure. I mean, we could talk about the defense. We could talk about different guys stepping up. I mean, we definitely need to talk about James Cook and how he was able to run the ball just so convincingly. But again, I don't really need to go play by play, just because this feeling is so amazing right now. And I know that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And the Bills do need to get the 1 seed. That's the next goal, right? Get the 1 seed, get that first round bye so you can be healthy going into the playoffs. But you don't want to take the pedal off the metal, but you know that in the back pocket, you have that AFC East wrapped up. Now, I want to talk about some other cool nuggets and stats that came out of this game. The first one being Sean McDermott, as I already mentioned, is 8-0 coming out of the bye. So if you think about how hard that is to do at the NFL level, right? Any given Sunday, You can never underestimate any team. You never know what the team is dealing with injuries or other personal issues. But the fact that he can hammer down those details and get his players ready when it matters most. I know you got to do it in January, but for big games like this team is always ready. And we're really not seeing those flops anymore where the Bills are dropping those easy games. That's kind of seemed like a thing of the past. And the fact that this team could put up 35 points in almost a blizzard last night, this team is special. And they're also special because going off the point about McDermott, the fact that him and Josh Allen were doing snow angels last night during their post-game press conferences or post-game interviews before the press conferences started, again, that just shows how special this team can be, because that really might be the happiest that I've ever seen Sean McDermott. If you look at those pictures, his face was just lit up with joy. He had the biggest smile on his face. And then during his press conference, he was talking about how his kids were playing in the backyard on Saturday and they were just imagining themselves as Josh Allen. And then Josh Allen goes out and makes those backyard plays like we know that he can. And it is just really, really cool to see. Another cool stat is that the Bills are now 6-0 since acquiring Amari Cooper a few weeks ago, and they have scored 30-plus points in each of those 6 games. Now, I know Cooper hasn't been dominating the stat sheet. He hasn't been necessarily filling up the box score, but I think just his presence alone has created a shift for this team. And I know Keon Coleman's been out. Dalton Kincaid's been out, which is even more impressive, by the way. But I feel like he's been able to take the pressure off of a bunch of these wide receivers. Quintessentially, Matt Collins, the mad scientist who was barefoot walking into the stadium. And good thing he knows how to use those feet, because he was able to toe tap in the end zone last night for one of Josh Allen's touchdowns. But I think Cooper's presence has done enough. And then you see plays like that where he lateraled it to Josh Allen, and just the awareness that Cooper had, being a 30-year-old wide receiver, that veteran presence for this team. And again, you can see the joy on his face too. Going from Cleveland to Buffalo, he mentioned before how he's finally having fun playing football. And I'm just so glad that Coop can be a Buffalo Bill. Now, the other cool stat that I have is that the Bills have now held Trey McBride, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, and George Kittle to a combined stat line of 8 receptions for 45 yards and 0 touchdowns. That is incredible, because I feel like the Bills have struggled a lot to cover tight ends in the past, and that is something that they have really buttoned up this season, and a lot of that came without Matt Milano. I haven't mentioned him yet, but it was great to see him out on the field. I think he looked a little bit slow, just trying to get his footing, especially in those conditions. But having Milano and Bernard back, with Dorian Williams potentially coming in as that third linebacker, man, that is light years ahead of what the Bills were doing last year at this time when they were getting ready to call AJ Klein to come out of his RV. So the fact that they've held those 4-star tight ends to 8 receptions for 45 yards, that just shows how great of a season this defense is really having. So just to finish up, I'll go over some box score stats now. Josh Allen was 13-17 for 148 yards and 2 touchdowns. James Cook was the leading rusher with 14 carries for 107 yards and a touchdown. Ray Davis, I love the Bills running back committee here between Cook, Davis, and Ty Johnson. Davis had 11 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown, because I feel like a game like that, we're going to see a lot more of these games, right? As we head into the stretch run and then the playoffs, you're going to need that tough physical back. And James Cook really proved himself as he can get the job done, as he recorded a speed of almost 22 miles per hour on that 65-yard touchdown run, which is the fastest in his career. But it's important to have that tough physical back like Ray Davis, and Ty Johnson for that matter, who can be that nice complement. Josh Allen had 3 carries for 18 yards and a touchdown. And then for receiving, Dawson Knox was the leading receiver, 2 receptions for 56 yards. Khalil Shakir, pretty modest day for him, but he did his job, 4 catches for 30 yards. And then that was kind of it. I mean, Quentin Morris, 1 catch for 14 yards. James Cook had 1 for 13. Amari Cooper did have 3 catches, but only 12 yards. But the passing yards were kind of far and few between, because the Bills were just playing great complementary football. Christian Benford had that big fumble recovery. There was a strip sack. Greg Rousseau had the recovery there. Just a great all-around game for the Bills once again, as they are now 10-2. So next up for the Bills, they go to Los Angeles as they take on the 5-7 Rams at 4:25 from SoFi Stadium. So, some good weather conditions. They will also be in a dome the following week, Sunday, December 15th at 4:25. This one will be on CBS as their crew is making the trek out to Detroit once again. So, I guess they started a trend with following the Bills around here for all their pregame festivities. But that Bills-Lions game will be a 4:25 kickoff, and that will be another potential game of the year. And then the Bills come back home to take on the Patriots at 1 o'clock. Then Sunday, December 29th, they are hosting the Jets. And then week 18 is a flex game. They haven't determined the time yet, but that will be in Foxborough to take on the Patriots. And again, hopefully the Bills have everything clinched that they need to by then, and they can get some well-needed rest. Although I don't know if I want them to have 2 weeks off going into the playoffs if they get that 1 seed. But either way, that's a little bit too far down the line. Let's just worry about what we have at the moment. And at the moment is that the Bills are AFC East champions for the 5th year in a row.